All right, we are live once again. Tonight we have a very special, sweet lady in my life. Her name is Jodi Bellam. So, Jodi, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. How are y'all?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
So what's been going on lately? This fresh new year.
Oh, just working, like everybody else, I guess.
Like a non-stop adulting task, right? The
I know.
fun days.
I was thinking that today. Being a grown up is such a pain.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I'm watching my nieces, and they're getting married and having their little
Oh,
babies, and it's just
oh,
life's just beginning.
keeps going though. My daughter's
Yeah.
pregnant too.
How old is your daughter?
25.
25.
Just turned
Wow.
25. Yeah.
What an age.
I know.
Is she married?
No, not yet.
No.
They'll get
Uh,
married eventually.
Oh, she is with someone.
That's like everything's backwards now.
Yeah.
You get pregnant and have a kid, and then okay, we'll get married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the far side of the spectrum, mom and dad's been married 70 years.
Oh my god.
Isn't that crazy?
70 years.
70.
Good Lord, that's amazing.
How long have you guys been married?
We've been married. This coming May will be. We got married in 96, so I'm not good at math.
Okay.
96, 2006, so 23 years. This
Wow.
coming May.
Yeah. Well, on that topic, tell us a little bit more about yourself, other than the marriage and your child. So just tell us about yourself, how you found yourself in the senior industry, and let's go from there.
Okay, so I was in advertising for 30 years. I got out of high school, went to art school in photography, and then I got into the photography business and was in that business and ended up being a manager and blah, blah, blah. Well, 2008 hit, and plus, the whole digital photography thing came along and it changed everything.
Yeah.
Everything had changed. And I had always wanted to like have a job where I did something for somebody, because this is what's so funny. In our business in advertising is we had a joke that we made birdcage liners, because that's what we did. Is we did
Mm.
ads, we did inserts for the newspaper, and they end up
Wow.
being birdcage liners. And it wasn't like something that you did special for somebody or that helped mankind or anything. And I
Yeah.
just had
Yeah.
always had that in my heart. Well, when I met my husband, which I met him in like 93, um, I met his grandparents. And they were the cutest people you ever met in your whole entire life. And they ended up years later, his granddaddy died when he was 100, and his grandmom
Oh,
died when he
wow.
was 102. And I just over the years watched them. They stayed in their home until they were very old, like 95, I think is probably when they ended up moving out of their house, because they couldn't take care of themselves anymore. And they ended up moving in
Mm.
with Charles's aunt and his uncle, and they had their like little suite in their house. And I just thought that was so cool that they were able to stay at home. Well, when 2008 came and I lost my job, my brother came over here with this new girl that he was dating, and we were talking, and I said, well, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And she said, I work at a home care agency. And I'm like, well, what is that? I've never heard of that. I didn't know
Oh, wow. Okay.
anything about this business at all. And so she told me that she went to people's houses and she talked to them and hooked them up with a caregiver to come and stay with them so they could stay at home and they didn't have to go to assisted living or nursing home or anything. So I'm telling you, at that moment, God said, this is what I want you to do.
Mm.
Like, put it in my lap. This is it. So, like, the next day, I called my mom, who was a nurse her entire career.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
I know. I said, I want to open a home care agency. And she goes, okay, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to get the license and all that. So she helped me. And I got my license in the mail back then, 15 years ago. It was like a thick stack of papers this big. Now they do it all digitally. So I started reading it, and it was like so overwhelming because I had been in advertising all these years. I didn't know anything about business, running a business. I didn't know anything about this industry, taking care of people, or nothing. But this is my personality. I'm just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I just do it. Figure it out as I go. So I applied for my license, and they sent that packet of paper back to me with 1,000 sticky notes on it of stuff I had to correct because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had to write policies and procedures for everything that runs
Jeez.
this business. I didn't even know what a policy and procedure was. And this is when
Yeah.
I
You
knew.
just had to learn what a home health care
I know.
was. Yeah.
And this is when I knew that God wanted me to do this business because I Googled, this is way back. I Googled, what is a policy and procedure? Okay.
Okay.
So, you can do like a click you pay per click.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you Google something. So the very first thing that came up at the top of the page was this man in Canada who had a home care agency, and he wrote I guess it's a CD, not a DVD, right? A CD.
CD. Well, it's a DVD, but they're both same thing.
Okay.
Disc.
A disc, yeah, that you could buy for $99 that gave you every policy and procedure, every form, every rule, everything that you needed to start specifically a home care agency. I didn't Google policies and procedures for home care agencies. I just Googled policies and procedures. God gave me that. $99, and I had all the information that I needed.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So anyway, 15 years ago, I started this business because I
always like to ask, because I've been self-employed my whole life, and so I've been used to creating my own paycheck, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah.
And my experience, and pretty much everybody experience, including yours, when I ask you this, when you feel guided and led by God, there's still those hurdles. There's still those moments of crisis, of questioning or whatever. So once you got through all the details of setting it up, what was your journey building the business, getting your first client, experiencing going in and taking care of someone's loved ones, having to grow and find other people to hopefully have the same heart to come in and care for your clients? What was that experience like?
Well, at the beginning, it was very easy to find caregivers.
Okay.
This
Back
was
before COVID.
well, this was a long time
Yeah.
ago. This was before there was I think there was a Visiting Angels that is still there out of Dallas,
Okay.
Georgia. Agency. There was a Comfort Keepers, which I don't know where they went or if they're even still around. There was not very many agencies at all. So finding caregivers was easy. And honestly, when I got let go from my job in 2008 at the studio, I ended up working for them on a freelance basis until 2014. So I did both. I mean, I kind of had to, starting out, I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened was my husband's dad got sick. And so in 2009, literally the year I opened my business, but this had nothing to do with me opening my business, his mom and dad moved in with us.
Oh, okay.
Because Charles had to help her take care of him.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't do it by herself. So they lived with us for a year and a half. And oh, good Lord, what I learned from that experience, I can't even tell you, was amazing.
When it knocks on your own front door, it is definitely different, because just like Kim Portis, she said hello, and then and like Val as well. she's been on the show, and Val took care of her mom, for
Right.
years for dementia. And then it's sort of like hearing all the different stories. And then now being
Yeah.
like I'd said earlier, our year started out with mom going into the emergency room and didn't think she was going to make it. So then it gets to the point of having to make all those decisions of now we've got to get her out of the hospital because the hospital is going to kill her.
Oh
Because
no, you're not kidding.
all they want to do is give them drugs. So you're having to be an advocate, making sure, hey, don't give her this, don't give her that,
Right.
because unfortunately they just want to medicate them, so they'll just not be I guess a bother. But anyway, when it impacts your own family, so much changes. It's easier to deal with other people's lives and
Yeah.
help other people, but when you're dealing with your own family and parents and all that, it's just it's a weird experience
That is the
uh,
truth.
to go
And
through
it's
that.
and we go to these meetings and it's just like Mark always talks about when his mom got sick and he was like, "Thank God I have met all of y'all because now I know
Oh my
what
God,
resources are out there
yeah,
and I can even though she's in New York, I can find whatever I need because I know it's out
right,
there." Other
yeah.
people just they don't even know it's out there.
Don't even have a clue, but that just gets back further to where you think about your journey in this business, and then now it's almost an overwhelming number of in-home care agencies.
Oh yeah, it's
In trying to find, and then of course since COVID hit, uh, they're all struggling to find good
right.
quality staff. And
That's
then
right.
it's the cost aspect, and there's so many people that don't have the money to pay anything, and it's just, oh my gosh, it just gets overwhelming. But with that said, what I'm looking forward to you sharing, because I kind of got the benefit of watching the birth of you sharing the Blue Hug, and I think it's incredible what you've done and what you are doing. And I know that there's, like anything, there's always the challenges of bringing something to market, and just the challenges you had with production and the manufacturing, and oh, we should have did put the zipper here instead of there. But literally tell the story of how the Blue Hug came to be. And I think you got one. Just kind of give a visual of what it is and explain how you birthed that idea.
Well, okay, so having this home care agency, I get calls all the time, all the time, all the time. And so a lot of people just need resources. They just need to talk to somebody and ask questions. So I've had so many people through the years call me and just say, how much do you charge? And when somebody asks me that, I know they don't have the money for this because it's expensive. I mean, and,
Yeah.
and I'll just be honest with you, I don't charge anywhere near how much most people charge.
Yeah.
And I have only raised my prices since COVID because I have to pay the girls more.
Yeah.
So I hate charging people this much money because this is like literally something that you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody help you. You can't do this by yourself. And so this man called me and he said, I just need somebody to come bathe my mom. And I'm like, okay, well, we have a 4-hour minimum.
Right.
And it's, at that time I was probably charging $19 an hour or whatever. And he's like, oh my God.
Dang, that's,
So
yeah.
he said, I can't afford that. I can't
And
afford
that
that.
was a good price.
Oh no, I know. I know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I keep my prices very, very low. It's just really important to me for people to get help if they
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, and he was so devastated. They are at the end of their rope, like so many people are when they end up calling and getting these resources. They're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so stressed
Mhm.
out. So I said, let me do some research for you. I'm going to go online and I'm going to see if I can find anything at all that you guys can use so that you can bathe your mom or she'll let you bathe her or whatever. There's nothing. There's nothing out there. So, and I had already started thinking about this from talking to the other umpteenth person about the same situation. And so I just talked to my husband. I'm like, we really just need to do this. And so we cashed in our life insurance policies. We had a boat and
Mm.
we sold it. And every
Mm.
penny that we have had, we have put
Wow.
into getting inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to get a patent pending. So I'm still waiting on the patent to come through. So I had to pay for that and
Yep.
branding and
Yep.
marketing and, buying the fabric and getting it shipped here and all of that. But this is what it looks like. It is a shower garment that's kind of like the shape of a hospital gown.
Mm-hmm.
And it zips up from the bottom to the top
Mm-hmm.
so that it's easier for the caregiver to put it on the client and then zip it at the top.
Right.
And also, when they're sitting on their shower chair, they can just unzip it a little bit and wash through here.
Right.
And then there's zippers on both sides that have a zipper on the top and the bottom. So you can just unzip it a little bit and stick your hand in and wash,
Mm-hmm.
and then stick the shower wand in and rinse them off. And this thing soaks down with water. It soaks with water. It is completely saturated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made out of neoprene like a wetsuit. So it holds the water and
the warmth.
It keeps, it's up against your body, filled with water, and it keeps you really, really, this thing is really warm. I tell people it's like sitting in a hot tub. It's warm. So you have your dignity, you have comfort, and if you have any kind of dementia or cognitive or memory, people are afraid.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to take their clothes off in front of somebody they don't know.
Yeah.
And so that is very helpful. It's also, after it's soaked with water, it's weighted, which is very calming and comfortable. And then, of course, it keeps you warm. So it just does all of these things. And I have 6 sizes. I have everything that will cover a little child all the way up to a 2XL, a bigger person.
Right. It's like I don't even know how to even put into words how much I admire what you've done. It's not, I just look at things from the, Val said she could have used one of those for her mom before her mom passed, so tons of people need it, but
Oh yeah,
it's getting the word out. Right.
That's it.
And, but I really do, Jodi, admire what you and your husband did, because those are terrifying decisions, especially later in life. Right. And, especially when
it's a God thing.
Yeah.
I trust him. This is his project. He has given me this idea.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about it. It's gonna
that's awesome, because it's like one of the things that, my wife is, honestly, she's my strength. So even though I've been self-employed my whole life, the things that have happened, the enemy gets in your head and it starts beating you down and you start questioning stuff. But the way you just responded is the way my wife responds.
Yeah.
She stands strong, which that's so awesome to hear. But what has been the challenges up to this point, to where I think, didn't you have a change a couple things on after your first order?
Well, my first order that I made, which is fine. Okay, so what happened was the manufacturer didn't follow. It's kind of a miscommunication. I'm not blaming it all on them. But they ended up making the 2 sizes that I ordered way smaller than what they were supposed to be, which those have ended up being the child size, extra small, and then the small. And then, so what I did was we just went back in and we just made bigger and bigger and bigger sizes. So it's worked out fine. It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
We just had to figure it out as we went.
What's been some of the fun stories of seeing the Blue Hug really make a difference? Like, there's got to be some incredible stories of like thankfulness that you did it, right? Because you're able to see, you're able to start seeing the difference that it's making. What's some of the feedback you've been getting?
Okay, my favorite story, because this is like over the top, was this 60-year-old guy had a stroke, and his 80-year-old mother with dementia was trying to take care of him.
Oh, wow.
And he was paralyzed on one side. So he was in a wheelchair because he couldn't walk in the house that they were living in. And he would not let his mom see him without any clothes on. He wouldn't let her help him in and out of the shower. He was just too embarrassed. So she would get him up to the sink in the bathroom. He would bathe however he could, and he did that for 5 years. He did not take a shower. So they ended up moving into an
Wow.
assisted living together, which I
Okay.
think is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
you usually see husbands and wives, but it was his mom and him,
Mm.
and he had caregivers at the assisted living that could help him, but he wasn't gonna let them see him
Yeah.
with no clothes on.
Yeah.
So he got a blue hug, and when his mom had dementia, but she wasn't terrible. She could still carry on a conversation.
Yeah.
So the person that we sold him the garment through obviously kept in contact with him. And his mama just cried, and she was so happy because he was getting to take a shower, and it
Yeah.
was okay with him, and he wasn't afraid or embarrassed or anything. So,
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years,
That
that's horrible.
a,
And it's just
that a,
like that all the time. Most of our sales are online, people who are buying them for their parents because they're either taking care of them or they're in assisted living and they won't take a shower or whatever. Um, but one of the other stories that I loved is I went to assisted living and I sold them a whole bunch of them. But when I first went, I met with the executive director. And when I went back the second time to take them the garments, the memory care director came out from wherever, and the executive director was like, come here, I want you to see these. And she showed them to her, and the lady started crying. She's like, thank you so much. This is so amazing. Because she takes care of these little people in memory care
mm,
who hate taking
hey,
showers.
yeah.
They are like, what are you doing to me? You
Yeah.
know, it's great. So it's just every single day. And that's what keeps me going,
Yeah.
because I know these things are going to change the world. I know that sounds so ridiculous,
No,
but
it doesn't at
they
all
are.
sound ridiculous. Come on. It's all, there need, personally speaking, because I always will always continue to say this. I'm stunned. I'm even starting this company. I'm flabbergasted that I find myself doing this, and the blessings of it is finding myself being able to do it with Jeff, who's been my best friend for 40 something years,
Love
and
Jane.
all the people that I've met in this industry. It's
Oh,
just been so phenomenal.
it is.
What's weird about it, Jodi, is we see the dark side of the business, the corporate
Abuse.
the corporate stuff that gets in the way,
Yeah.
because all of us, you will be exposed really quick if you don't have a heart.
Oh, yeah.
But we're having to deal with the business side of dealing with these,
Right.
different communities and providers and all that, and you can't
Who are in it
avoid.
for the money?
Yeah, you can understand the business side, but when you see these big hedge funds that come in, they gobble it up, these communities, and they start cutting costs where it counts. And so
Oh,
the people and the families are pay the price.
yeah.
But what I was babbling on to say is, it's not crazy for you to think that way, because it takes people like you. It takes in heart and vision and God's guidance to bring things to the market that's needed. Because I'm sure you're probably like, wow, I'm still not finding anything. I have this idea laid on my heart, and you're like, I'm not finding anything.
Mhm.
And so it's pretty incredible that you were able to have the courage to jump out here, and here it is.
I'm a
It
crazy
blew up.
person.
It's really cool. But we've already touched on this, but this is one of my favorite uh, things to talk about, just with the different people that I meet. And I'm the first to always say I understand people are in different places in their life. They have their differences of opinion and beliefs, and maybe there's been things that happen that affects people's faith. I've been there and done that myself. You have life events that you just kind of found yourself face planted and confused and bewildered. And that's part of the journey of trying to trust and see God. So with your level of faith, would I be safe to assume it has not always been that strong? Has there been those um, things in your life that challenged you to the core to make you second guess your faith? And how did you find your way back? And how do you find your strength dealing with the things that happen in life?
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry.
It's all right.
Um, a long time ago at a studio that I worked for, there was a guy named David who was kind of one of my bosses. And I don't remember what the actual conversation was that we had, but it all came about to my level of faith that I have. I wish I could remember what we were talking about. But anyway, he goes, I've never met anybody in my life that had such unwavering,
Mm,
steadfast faith.
mm.
And I mean, I grew up in church. I quit going when I was a teenager, older teenager. You know how that goes. Um, Gone on and off since, but not ever like, been diligent about it. But I don't know why. It's just something God has given me, this faith that is, I've never questioned it ever, not once. Now,
That's awesome.
what my daughter has gone through a lot of mental, like, anxiety stuff in
Hmm.
her
Hmm.
life. And she went through this 1 week long period of just massive panic attacks every single day. I took her to the emergency room 2 days in a row. I ended up taking her to Ridgeview one day. I mean, it was bad. It was
Yeah.
bad. And that week, I knew God was there. I'm like, why are you not fixing this? I was so
Yeah.
mad at him,
Right.
but it never wavered my faith in him.
Okay.
I just didn't understand what he was doing.
Mm.
But so I have no,
And there's a big difference there.
yeah,
What you just said, there's a big difference there.
no, I've never questioned, never, not once in my whole life.
That's
It's
incredible.
weird. It's
And,
crazy.
and we're even, reading scripture, God does give measures of faith, to different people and all. And it's, everybody's, on their journey, so to speak. But that kind of gets back to uh, needing to have that in this business and being able to have true empathy uh, to help families that are going through it because um, like I said earlier, even though I'm in this industry now and the way this year started out and the experiences I'm having with my own family, it's almost like you shut down and trying to deal with the emotions of everything and the decisions that need to be made.
Right.
Is mom going to survive? And then she survives. And then it's the decisions of, you know, do you go to skilled nursing first? Do you come home with hospice? All of the decisions that need to be made, and then dealing with your family members. And then at the same time, you got your father who's 93, and it's just weird.
It's so much.
It is
God.
you start learning things about yourself that you didn't know about because you never faced it, and
Mhm.
then uh, up until this point, the people like Val that moved her mom into her house was like, okay, my life is stopping right now, and I'm
What
gonna
a
move
decision.
my mom in.
I
Not
know.
really understanding the decision you're making at the
You
time,
don't
right?
know what you're doing. Just
Yeah,
wait.
it's just like it's just, and then you make the commitment, and then a friend of mine actually was my partner in this business when we started the real estate side. Venus moved in with her mom, and you look at the load people are carrying and it's overwhelming, and then it starts knocking on your own door.
Yeah.
And
And it's just like anything else. You don't know what people go through till you go through it yourself.
you don't, you
Mm-mm.
don't,
You don't know how hard it is.
no. And everybody, just like we were talking about, you have a measure of faith. Everybody has their different, that people also have their different everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because one person can do something
Right.
doesn't mean another person can. I know that there's sons that will change their mother's diapers. I don't have that in me. The dignity
Most
there,
people don't.
I just, I don't have it in me
Right.
to change my mom's diaper, and
I know.
you sit there and you experience all these things, and then you start feeling ashamed. Like, hey, how come I can't step up to the plate in certain areas? But I don't know. It's just what's been wild is watching mom at 92 fighting, how strong she is to not give up when you're at that, knocking on the door like, God, just take me,
It's
and
because your dad's still there.
it's they're tough eggs.
Listen, I see this all the time, and I know you've heard this before. When people are together, they fight. They don't want to leave each other.
Yeah,
But once one goes, the other one don't want to be here no more. So they
yeah.
go too. And that's
That,
great. Go be with each other. Go be with Jesus. You're
yeah,
not old anymore. You're young and you're healthy and you feel good and you're happy.
yeah. It's like Kim had said, mentioned guilt, and just still gets to her. And then Val, saying her husband had to help change her mom there toward the end, where her husband did. It's like, man,
God bless them.
yeah.
You'll get to a point, if you got to do it, you'll do it and you'll be fine. You'll do
I
it
think,
one time. You'll
well,
do
it's
it
like
one time
I
and then
went out
you'll
there.
be like, okay, I
Yeah,
can do it.
I went out there today to do her PT with her, and so when you're doing that, you're starting to, modesty has to go out the window a little bit because you're doing leg exercises and all that
All
stuff.
right.
But it's just it's a weird experience. It's just
It's
a
not
weird
anything
experience.
that anybody ever plans or thinks in their mind that this is something they're ever going to have to get into, is taking care of their
Yeah.
parents. I think
Yeah.
God blocks that from
Yeah.
your mind. So you don't have to worry about it, or you don't think about it, or I don't know. So you
Let
don't
me
have
ask you. Let me ask you a super personal question.
oh yeah.
How does it? How are the conversations with you and your husband? Because like me and my wife, being in the business, it brings you face to face to where, oh my God, what are we going to do if God gives us the days? Like if we get older,
Yeah.
like whoa, because there's a lot of planning that needs to still be done,
Right.
and the cost keeps going up,
Right.
you know. And so, what kind of conversations y'all have that the business has caused you to self reflect?
Well, not saying anything about anything in particular, but I am planning on staying at home.
Mm,
So my plan is, we want to buy a piece of land, my husband and my daughter move on the land with us, and my
mm,
stepson and his family move on the land with us. And then I want to eventually, later on down the road, build a little tiny house for me and Charles and move into that little tiny house and have a caregiver come and take care of us.
mm.
That's my plan, and not have this big, huge, gigantic house. Have a little
Right.
bitty, tiny, just something for. I mean, because when old people, they sit in a chair and watch TV, and they don't
That's what,
they don't need any room.
yeah.
They
Mom
don't
and
need
dad,
like a
they got a
5-bedroom house.
4 bedroom,
Yeah,
2 bath house, and they're just in their mom's hospice bed. They have
yeah.
it in their, I guess, in their sunroom now, and dad just sits there on the little love seat, in front of her, and they just, it's like when you talk about going, to people that go to assisted living community and they're going from a house to a room, but yet they have the entire
I know.
community. It's really no different. They're just in one room as we speak, and they just walk to and fro, to go to bed and go to the bathroom. But that's a good idea. Y'all gonna be in the area you're in, or
No, I want to move way out of Atlanta.
do you north?
I want to
Still
move.
in Georgia?
Yeah, it'll be what we're kind of looking at is out I-20 east, south of I-20, because there's
Okay.
so much land out there.
Yeah.
Like east of Macon, and
Yeah.
all the way. There's just land, and it's pretty
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah. We like North Georgia area, the Blue Ridge,
It's expensive.
Dawsonville,
Yeah,
and all.
it's
It is.
beautiful,
It
but it's
is. But
expensive. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, down in that area, you can get money go a lot further.
right. I
in
mean,
those
we want
areas.
our goal is to get 100 acres.
Yeah, now you're talking. You can get a
So
bunch
you
of
can get that
you get a
anywhere.
bunch of chickens in 100 acres.
I know, and some goats and.
Yeah. But Jodi, anything you would like to add before we sign off here? Anything you want to share?
Well, just that these garments are a game changer for families, for assisted livings. I'm talking to rehabs and hospitals to send the information home with families.
Mm.
I'm just trying to do whatever I can and get in front of whoever I can so that those people can help me get this word out, out to whoever might need them. But, you can just go to thebluehug.com and order straight off of the website. There's a size chart. It tells you to measure your waist or the biggest part of your body. These things are not supposed to be tight. They're supposed to be loose.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when you measure, the garment that it tells you to get is going to be loose.
Okay.
It's super simple. And then we'll just ship it straight to, the house or wherever they live.
Okay. Do you have an affiliate program?
I do have an affiliate program. And we give $10 a garment for every garment sold. And I've got 5 affiliates right now so far.
All right.
So
I'll talk to you about that when we get off here.
okay.
Well, Jodi, I am so glad you finally was able to jump on here with me. I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on here, and as usual, for the support, those that are watching and commenting. But this is something you can forever use. And Kim said about to have 6.
What? 6
Kim
what?
said 6, about to have 6 what, Kim? 6 acres? 6 chickens?
Oh, 6 chickens. Is she?
I don't know. See what she says. Give her a second. Yeah. Affiliates. Oh, about to have 6 affiliates.
Okay.
Well, all right. She's like, you know my number, right?
Yeah, I know your number.
Awesome. But Jodi, thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you soon at the next event. So
Okay.
until the next time, the next show, everybody have a good rest of your week.